afternoon, ladies and gents, welcome back to Wonderland Asylum. Today I'm going to be installing a custom air horn in the PT Cruiser. So that is the air horn here. It's from a company called Boom Blasters in the United States. I've had this kicking around for a little while now. Finally decided I'm just going to install it. A slight disclaimer, because Britain's shite, you can't have a musical horn as your main horn, so I'm wiring it up to a momentary switch inside the car. More on that later, but the first part is obviously get the thing mounted inside the engine bay. Now what I'm going to do is attach it there to the bracket I've got for the air meter. So we'll get started there. Fortunately those two holes that are there fit perfectly the wee bracket, so I'll show you how I've got it all wired up. This yellow wire here, I don't know if you can see, it runs, I've had to join it because it wasn't long enough, and it goes along with this blue vacuum hose. Ignore that just now, no sneaky secrets. What I had to do was poke a hole, I don't know if you can see, in the power steering grommet, and then run that all the way inside the car, and it comes out under there. Absolutely shredded my hands doing that. Hopefully it'll be worth it when I get both these things. As I say, ignore the blue vacuum hose just now. So yeah, I'll get you all set up where you can see what I'm doing out here, and we'll get started. Cheers. Okay, welcome back. So as I say, I'm going to be attaching the horn on between these two screws. I'll need to make sure I move all my wires out of the way, but it'll mount in there. So the third corner of the bracket, which I'm not too worried about, will go in behind this plug. So I'll get started with that. It's a 10mm socket. I've started loosening them up, but what I'm going to do is loosen them one at a time and fix it in, because I don't want that bracket falling off. Okay, so as I say, I've already started loosening this one. Fits through there reasonably well. I'm not going to tighten it all the way, as I say, so I can get that on. The other thing I need to do is find out which of the two is thinner, so I can fit the ground strap around it. In fact, that one fits perfectly. So that's what I'm going to do, is ground it against the frame of the car there, so it's nice and grounded. Right, so now, because that bolt's no longer painted, that bolt's painted, I do need to find somewhere else to attach the ground strap. Where? Okay, I think what I'm going to do then is ground it onto the block itself, where the... Let's see if we've got a nut that will fit that. It's too big. Yeah, that's where normally the engine cover would sit. It's threaded the ground on there. So I'm going to grab a couple of spring washers and put them on underneath it. In fact, there's a nut already on there. Off. I've got a deep socket here, so I'll see if that will work. I think this deep socket might be too big. Yeah, way too big. Okay. Never mind, it was an idea. I'll just need to put this in, then the washers, make sure the nut runs down far enough to give it a good ground connection. spring washers, that should do you. Now, this bit, be careful, you're working with this is now directly on the diesel version of these. There's no, the battery's not in the engine bay. As you can see, the battery's underneath the passenger seat. This is what you use to, basically, to use the jump start terminal. I wouldn't ever recommend you use it because it's garbage, but hey ho. I'm just going to see if I can find a socket that will fit on there in this tool set. This is a tool set that doesn't get used very much because it's not got very much in it. Oh you fucker. Well, that was silly, because what I basically did there was grounded it against that metal strap, which is really, really silly. So what I'm going to do is go and get my wrenches, because what I need to do is create a wee opening there, enough for me to attach this little blade. Okay, 2 seconds. Attach it. It's broken. Could do it in a shallower ratchet, but as I say, I'm only loosening this off enough that there's a space. It might spark a little in a second once you break the connection a bit. So it's just so I've got a space to feed this little blade in there. I don't know if you heard that. That's the speaker telling you basically it likes what you're doing. So my ground must be alright, my live must be alright. So we're all connected. Once I'm sure I've got a good connection and everything, I will come back and tighten everything up. But my live connection's good in there, my ground connection's good in there. So we're done for the outside. As I say, I'll come back out and tidy all these wires up, and like I told you, don't worry about that in vacuum hose, it won't make any difference, it's not there. Not there. Hopefully I'll be able to post that under this cover. Tell you what then. Loosen it off again. I'm going to take this out and then slide it round the other side so I can still use my battery. Okay, and once I get that in, I'll meet you inside. Okay. Hello again, now we're back inside the car to do the final bit of wiring, just in time too, because it started raining a lot more heavily now. I may have to open the door for one tiny wee bit, but yeah, can only hope not. So what we're doing now, basically, is, as you see, this wire here comes directly from the... That's the one that attaches to the yellow wire. It comes in through the dash, as I say. That will attach this end to this button. So when you push that, it'll sound the horn. Now that, I have machined a wee hole in the dash, so that fits there, nice and well concealed. And there's a nut that goes in behind it which will secure it and stop it falling out. And there's also a second wire, again attaches to the other post on that switch, and it goes into constant power inside the car. So what I've got is I've got a fuse adapter or a fuse tap. So basically we'll crimp that in there and then attach that to the fuse box in. Have a look, here's the inside of the fuse thing. It tells you what everything is. So we're looking for something that only has power when the key's on. So number 10 is the cluster. I think we'll go with, want something that's a 20 amp for preference. Yeah, if we go with number 5, that's the airbag, it's run only. So there's only power in that when the engine's running. So again, I'll put you down, see if I can find a place where you can see, and I'll come back to you. So what I'm going to do next is pop out, see these Phillips head screws that are in here, and what that will allow me to do is move this panel out the road so I can run the wires in a bit easier. So we'll see if I can do that and hold the camera at the same time. There's one, and there's another one further down there, you can see it there. This is also part of changing the headlight bulbs. If you need to change your headlight bulbs, you need to do this as well to free up the bezel, the coloured bezel up round there. But that will be in another video because I've had a couple of bulbs go on me recently. So I'm going to take that switch back out, set it in there, and just pull that out the way. Comes out fairly easily. And as I say, so this red wire will go round the back here, and then I'll bring it out in where that wiring harness is. So I'll try and, again, I can't really sit you anywhere where you'll be able to see very much, so hold on. Okay, so there we go, they're both hooked up to the switch. As I say, I've got the nut around the wires in the back, so all I need to do now is push the switch in, screw the nut on, and the next part is, purely and simply, hooking this wire onto the fuse tap, which I'll do just now. Give me 2 seconds. See how much of myself I can move out your road, so you might be able to see something, maybe not, who knows? Right, so when you're using the fuse adapter, the bit with the blade on it at the bottom, that's where the existing fuse goes, and the bit at the top is where your fuse for your new circuit goes. So I'll insert my 20 amp fuse there, because that's the size that was recommended by the company that sold the horn. And it's easy enough to do. You simply push the wire in and get your crimp connector. Now, because it's a really small wire, I'm using the smallest of my crimp settings. You put it on and you squeeze, and that should hopefully keep the fuse adapter socket right in there. So as I say, which one was I going to use? I was going to use if we go for fuse 4, the power height adjuster, we'll use that one. But again, I'll push all these wires through, and what I'm going to do now is put the switch through so that we can get all that tightened up. I'll need to move some plastic out my road at the back, I think, but if we push these wires back in. Hopefully I'll be able to push them in far enough that the nut will slide around the switch, and it has, which is always good. So it doesn't need to be overly tight, just tight enough that your switch isn't going to flop around. There we go, that's all nice and tight. And then also make sure you tuck your wires well out the way so they're not going to get pinched or damaged when you slam the panel back in. And as I say, I'm not putting the panel back in just yet because I've got more stuff to do in behind it. But what you're trying to do when you're putting it back in is line all the clips up. Okay, so the only other thing that's left to do, hopefully, and this should work, is to take out fuse number 4, which is a 20 amp, this one here. It'd help if I had a pair of pliers with me, but of course I didn't bring pliers out. 2 seconds. As I say, fuse number 4, this one here, just pull out. Okay, so sorry about that. I believe the last thing you saw was me picking a fuse to put my fuse tap into. I've had a couple of issues since then. There were some problems that I've had to overcome. As you'll remember, I actually started filming this before I fitted my gauges. They're all now in. You've seen the video for them, so I'll show you what I've ended up doing down in the fuse bay. I'll need to open the door. As you see there, what I've done is instead of using that one, because that was I think it was the airbag I was going to use, but it's on even if the ignition isn't on, so any time that would still be draining power. So what I ended up doing was wiring the 2 fuse taps together and using the radio and the overhead console fuse to run power. I've obviously put everything back because I've been running the car since then, and the button is all ready to go. So without further ado, let's push it for a test fire. Right, what else was I going to have? Come on, let's be honest. Yeah, delighted my car plays the Batman theme. I mean, I know I am the Joker and my car is Joker purple, but there isn't a Joker theme, so Batman had to do. So we'll just call it ironic. Yeah, absolutely delighted. Again, sorry for the delay in the videos. There was some stuff I had to do to get the horn working properly. It was more to do with the way it was manufactured and put together rather than anything else. But as I say, it was Boom Blasters who sold the horn. They've been fantastic. I would highly recommend their product. As I say, but make sure you've got somewhere to mount it, and it needs to be mounted in a waterproof location. It does tell you that on the box and the instructions. Instructions are pretty comprehensive. But yeah, as I say, delighted with that. I'm not going to push it again because I've been pushing it constantly since I got it wired up, and my neighbours are going nuts. But as I say, as a disclaimer, my normal horn, as you hear, still works. That's a secondary horn. Just as I say, it's wired up to a little button that I can push when I feel like it to basically blast the Batman theme at people. So as I say, the car's running great. My gauges and all that work perfectly. I've got a clock. Whee! She's running really well. I've got a few more cosmetic bits and pieces that I'm going to be doing over the next little while, so keep your eyes peeled for them. Thanks to you all for watching. I hope this one was a bit more fun. If there's anything you'd like to see me do or anything you think I could add to the car, feel free to give me a comment and let me know. Again, thanks to all of you who've subscribed already, so if you haven't already, please give me a subscribe and you'll see more changes to this car. And if you'd like to see me doing stuff to my other car, the Renault thing, then by all means ask for that as well. Don't know why you would, but hey ho. So anyway, thanks guys for tuning in, and I'll see you for the next one.